Well, I was hoping to get a little further along before I had to put the bonnet up and try and fix the gear. An information bay at an intersection in the middle of nowhere. Alright guys, well we've actually made it to the first stage of the trip. I've got the car back to Dad's place and I'm about to do a little bit of work on it. But it wasn't an easy feat and it didn't go as planned. I ended up having to spend about $2,500 doing a whole heap of work on this car before it was even drivable. The brakes were shot, severe death wobble. Yeah, it just wasn't good at all. So I wasn't charging, the alternator was shot. So yeah, a couple of days in Brisbane in with a mechanic and got it sorted. It's got a brand new pitman arm, brand new tie rods. They were both absolutely flogged out. And now the steering is 100% better. No death wobble and feels nice and tight. Brand new alternator, that's fixed the charging issue. And what else? Oh, the brakes. So I've got a brand new master cylinder, brand new calipers in the front and brand new wheel cylinders in the rear drums, and it's got a brand new brake proportioning valve. So a lot of work to get the brakes half decent, but yeah, I'll turn this camera around and we'll have a look at her. Yeah, so still pretty happy with her though. It's in great condition body wise. There's a few dings and scratches and that, but there is no rust in this old girl whatsoever. Managed to pick up a full set of wheels and tyres that had really good tread on them, so I've thrown those on for the trip home. What have we got? I've got a bit of a dent in the driver's side door here, which we can sort out. Got that nice grey interior with the one tiny little crack on the dash, but yeah, really good nick. Factory cruise control, factory aircon, factory auto, exactly what I was chasing. Fuel injected 4Y, no powerhouse, that's for sure. Got some factory Toyota headlight covers. This was just hanging, had a blown globe and was just hanging, so I've just knocked up this tiny little bracket just to keep this sitting where it should be, and I'll mount it properly when I get home and clean up this bull bar, and put a globe in there. So all the indicators are working. This is probably the worst of it, this front quarter panel here. Got a bit of a ripple going through it all the way down here, and then this, I don't know what's going on there, but the aerial's broken, and the door's actually catching on the guard when I open it. I don't know if you can catch that. So I'll probably end up replacing this whole guard, I think. And then on this side, just got to fix the molding there is coming off at the front and at the back, so that molding should clean up okay. I just got to re-stick it down. And these things, these are the drip rails, have got plastic covers on them, which I've never seen before. And the back aren't too bad, but the fronts have obviously been glued or something and it's come apart, so they sort of hang down. So I'm going to need to reattach those. But I've never actually seen these before, these drip rail covers. So we'll fix those when we get home. It's nothing urgent. Got the seats folded down. Obviously I'll be sitting in the back of this. I've kept, I took the original 4 tyres off the rims, and I'm going to try and get them home with me if I've got enough room, and I've kept 1 tyre on as a second spare. Yeah, it's a part of, it's a King Chrome toolkit I bought for the trip, the automotive toolkit. But yeah, she's doing alright. Finally got the tailgate working, the window to wind up and down, but it only works with the key in the back. The switch in the console's not working. So I'll need to sort that, but at least I can get in and out of the back now instead of having to crawl over the seats, so that's good. But I'm really happy with this. This is a really good base, and it's going to be a solid base for 4runner project. Looking forward to taking this camping and fishing with the kids. So I'm just about to crawl under it because it's got an exhaust leak where the header's first join is to the pipe. There was a missing stud and it's just been replaced by a bolt, but the gasket's blown obviously, so I'm just going to climb under there and undo that flange and slip in a new gasket and rebolt it, and hopefully that'll take care of the exhaust leak, just make it a bit quieter for the drive home, seeing as I've got 4 days and 4,000 kilometres of driving to do. So the more comfortable I can make it, the better. But yeah, it's running sweet now. Brand new battery. There's the brand new master cylinder. It's just a stock master cylinder. I will upgrade that to the 1-inch one when I get it home. Brand new alternator down there, and then I'll see if we can see the, so you see there we've got the brand new pitman arm, brand new tie rods, inner and outer, left and right hand side. Needs a wheel alignment, like it's not bad, the mechanic did a good job, just like with a tape measure basically getting it back to straight, but and I've had the tyres spun up so they're balanced, but I do need to get a proper wheel alignment done on it. Yeah, so it's gone from being absolutely undrivable, like severe death wobble at anything over 45 k's now, like just jumping all over the road, steering wheel going like this, accident waiting to happen, to just driving smooth and straight as an arrow, and just having the tiniest steering wheel shutter, which I'm putting down to wheel alignment. I do have brand new ball joints and a brand new idler arm and a brand new steering dampener as well, which I'll put in when I get home. So between those and a wheel alignment, this thing should be driving superb. Really happy with it. So I'm confident we can get it home now. When I first picked it up, I thought I was leaving this thing here, honestly, or getting it trucked back and flying home, because there was no chance that this car was going to drive. I mean, it didn't even make it to Millmerran, the first 200 k's, until I had that work done. So I'm just going to start her up and see if you can hear this exhaust leak. Yeah, so seems to be running alright, idling alright. I don't know if you can pick it up on the camera audio, but there is an exhaust leak. I can't really see it holding the camera, but trust me anyway, there's an exhaust leak down there. So I'm just about to chuck this this flange gasket in and retighten it up and see if we can eliminate that, and then should actually be pretty quiet once that's done. Only real noise I'm getting is from that exhaust leak, so I'll get into that now and come back to you when it's changed out and see how it sounds. Alright, so the exhaust gasket's a no-go. I just can't get in there with the tools I've got to get it off, and I don't think, now that I've been down there and had a look at it, that the gaskets I have are the right ones anyway, so I'm going to leave that for now. It's only a very minor exhaust leak. I'll put up with it until we get home and get a new exhaust system fitted. Well, at the very least I'll get that that gasket replaced. I just cleaned out the overflow tank on the radiator and just checked the coolant levels. They're all good. Now I'm just bringing it up to temp, and I'm going to check the oil level, because there is a slight, like the tiniest of tiny weeps of oil at the back of the engine. Nothing on the ground, and it sat here overnight after a long drive. So pretty happy with it underneath actually. There's no oil under there whatsoever, except that tiny little one drop weep at the back of the block where the bell housing bolts onto. So pretty happy with that. Nothing leaking out of the auto transmission, no diff leaks, no transfer case leak, anything like that. So things are looking pretty good. I'm bringing it up to temp to check the oil, and we'll go from there. How's this? So I got the car running up to temp so I can check the oil, so I thought while I'm at it I'll turn the aircon on, see if the aircon's working. Fully didn't expect it to work because it's been sitting in a shed for 4 years, not running. Best case scenario, needs a regas, most likely. I don't think there's anything wrong. It's the compressor's spinning fine, so kind of feels like it blows cool air every now and again, but yeah, nothing that would suggest to me that the aircon's working, which is fine. I fully expected that. But I thought while I was here I'd just see if I could still pick up a radio channel, because I've cut the aerial off. The aerial was snapped and broken. It's a power antenna. I've just cut it off and I'll replace it later, if at all. But I turned on the stereo, aftermarket stereo, to see if I'd still pick up a radio channel, and there's a CD in there. It's a burnt CD. It's 20 tracks, the best of Kenny Rogers. Have a go at this.
I don't need flowers in the spring. I don't need you.
I've got a feeling there's aftermarket speakers in here. I reckon when they put a head unit in, they've done the speakers. But that is pumping out of the front and the back speakers, so got good sound out of the CD player. That's a bonus. I'll be able to. I've got a decent collection of CDs too, so I'd love to go old school actually. I'd love to put a tape player in here because I've got a collection of my favourite tapes as well. But anyway, things are looking good, baby. All right, let's see if we're up to temp. I hope old Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton's Islands in the Streams on this CD. That'll be a ripper. Yep, up to temp. All right, I'll turn it off and we'll see what the oil's doing. I haven't got any tripods or anything to put you down, so I'll just come back to you and now let you know how we went with the oil check. All right, plenty of oil in it, and the oil looks quite nice actually. Nice colour. It's not black or milky or anything like that. And this thing is really quiet and really smooth. I think it's actually running really well. If the odometer is accurate, it's only done less than or just under 250,000 Ks. So yeah, I'm starting to feel better and better about this buy. I think this was I got myself onto a little bit of a ripper here. I was very concerned when I first got here with the steering and the brakes being as they were, but I'm so stoked. And have a look at it. What a good base. I mean, she's just in wicked condition. We can do so much with this, turn it into a real off-road weekend warrior. I'm not going to go full-blown off-road rig with this, being the IFS. I want it to be my daily driver and my weekend beach fishing rig, so can't wait. Stay tuned, guys. I'll let you know once we get on the road. I think that's about all I'm going to do to this thing really until we get on the road, so I'll talk to you once I start the next leg of our journey, which is from Millmerran all the way across to Perth. She'll make it. She'll piss it in. And I got 20 Kenny Rogers songs to listen to on repeat for 4 days, so what more could you ask for? Alright, so a bit of an update. She's been going sweet. I haven't really taken any video of the drive this morning, but got underway about 7 o'clock. Had to pull into Goondiwindi just to pick up some radiator hoses from their super cheap auto, which didn't open till 8:30. So I left Dad's place at 7. Got to Goondiwindi about 20 past 8. Got the bits I needed from Super Cheap. Got away from there probably about 9 o'clock in the morning. I've put in probably about 600 Ks, nowhere near as much as I would have liked to. And the car's been running sweet and humming along until now. So, yeah, so I was hoping to get a lot further into the trip before something happened than this, but it is what it is. So anyway, the engine seems to be running fine. It idles fine, it revs, drives and all that, but it's the auto's playing up. It's chopping and changing, doesn't know which gear to pick and all that sort of stuff. So I'm thinking, I did get told by someone that these autos in these ones don't like being dirty. So if they've got dirty fluid in it, and I didn't change the fluid, I probably should have, and I may have to do it now on the side of the road. I'm in a little information bay just on the side of the road. My next town's, I don't know how far the next town is, to be honest, but I'll have to have a look. Well, it says on the sign it's got Warren 106 Ks, so Warren must be the next biggest town, but I think I'm going to Norimba or somewhere like that. I'm not sure what my next stop is. But I'm just going to let it cool down for a while, stretch my legs, have a drink, and then I'm going to go for a drive up the road once it's cooled down and see if it's just a heat issue. And if it'll let me drive a bit further, I'll keep going until I can get to a town. Because I'd honestly rather have a mechanic put it up on their hoist and just quickly dump the fluid and put new stuff in than me try and do it on the side of the road. I will if I have to, obviously, but yeah, so not much happening so far, but yeah, our first little breakdown. So I'll get back to you when I know more. All right, so I've let it cool down and I've consulted the book and yeah, and the internet as well. I had a bit of a Google. One of the main causes of slipping in the transmission is low fluid level. So check the dipstick, which I didn't even actually think I had on this car. I thought it was one where you had a fill plug on the side and you stick your finger in like with a diff. Checking a diff fluid level, but there is a dipstick and it was low, so I've topped it up and I'm about to take it for a drive. But I mean, listen to this engine, not missing a beat. So the engine itself's good and strong and it's doing well. I have no doubts that'll make us all the way home. The only thing I'm a bit concerned about is the old radiator hoses, but I've got replacements, so no stress. But the transmission's worrying because if the fluid top up doesn't fix it, that's going to be an issue. I have no way of fixing a transmission. The best I can do out here is dump the fluid and replace it with fresh stuff, but that's it. I haven't got a new filter. Yeah, can't do anything else. So hopefully the top up fixes it and I'll just have to keep an eye on it. But let's go for a drive and see how she reacts to the top up. Look at this engine though. I mean, it doesn't look the best, but it's running smooth as silk. Not even a slight miss in it. Just purrs like a kitten. Alright, let's get on the road, see if topping up that transmission has fixed the slipping issue. Alright, let's see how she does with the top up. Come on girl, you've been doing so well. Hopefully it's just my mistake, lack of maintenance. I was going to change the fluid in Dad's shed, and because I didn't even end up checking the level. So my bad. Let's see how she goes. So far so good. The real issue was between drive and overdrive though. Kept slipping out of overdrive back into drive and vice versa. So we'll see if we're having that issue. Set the cruise control. Factory cruise control works a treat on this thing. Alright. So just get her up to 100. I've been sitting on 100, not 110. Set the cruise control. It's feeling good at the moment, so fingers crossed it was just a low fluid level. We'll find out pretty quick though, because if it's a temperature issue or because it's, you know, just once it's been running for a while it starts slipping regardless of its fluid level, then we'll find out pretty quick, and I will let you know from the side of the road somewhere if that's the case. But anyway, see how far we get before I have to talk to you again. Hopefully it's for something exciting or a good view or something, not another breakdown. So see you in a bit. Alright, so not much further down the road. I don't even reckon 100 k's down the road, and overdrive is slipping again. So I've turned overdrive off and I'm just in drive. Yeah, so I'm sitting on 90, but I'm doing 3,500, so 3,500 RPM, sitting on 90 instead of doing 2,500 RPM to sit on 100. So more stress on the engine and the cooling system, and I'm doing 10 k's an hour slower than I should be as well. So chewing the juice, chewing the fuel, not good. So I'm just going to keep limping along at 90, dodging all these sheep and cattle.
Cow. I gotta go, Julia. We got cows. Another cow.
Yeah, work on the transmission some more. I'm not sure what else to do. I'll check the oil level again. Maybe there's a significant leak and I've dropped, here's another sheep on the road. And I'll get back to you with an update when I know more. Alright, well, it's the morning of day 2. I ended up pulling up about 1:30 this morning in a truck stop about 70 k's out of Broken Hill. I was pushing to get into Broken Hill, but I just got tired of having to slam on the brakes for kangaroos. They're sort of a couple of 100 k's coming into Broken Hill. The kangaroos are ridiculous. I do not recommend driving at night anywhere near Broken Hill. And yeah, just hobbling along at 90 k's an hour. So pulled in for the night, had a camp, set the alarm for 6:30, and we're back on the road. Car's running great. Yeah, it's like everything's reset. The overdrive's kicking in beautifully, working fine. So I'm thinking it's a temp issue. I'm going to have a chat to a mechanic in Broken Hill and just see what he says, but I might keep pushing on after I duck into Macca's and grab a coffee. But I'll keep you updated. Anyway, this is yeah, 50 k's out of Broken Hill, almost all the way across New South Wales and into South Australia. Hopefully get across South Australia today. We'll see how we go. Alright, that's it. That's New South Wales done. This is the start of the South Australia, or this is the South Australia-New South Wales border. So the plan for today is get as far as across South Australia as we can. All the way across would be great, but we'll see how we go. Alright, let's get into it. Got a long day. Alright, so just leaving Kimba, which is halfway through South Australia, so not as far as I'd like to be, but still having troubles with the auto. The overdrive's still not staying on. So I'm driving with no overdrive still, sitting on 90 k's an hour. She's doing it sweet though, you know, up there in the RPM though, 3,500 RPM to sit on 90 without overdrive. So chewing the juice a little bit, but it hasn't been too bad. Just filled up and got enough to get us through to Ceduna. Hopefully by the time we get there there'll be something there still open. We can fill up again and keep moving. The goal for tonight is to try and get to Border Village by some stage tomorrow morning. We'll see. That's a good 9-hour slog, if not more, because I'm doing 90 k's an hour. So yeah, we'll see how far we get. It'll depend on the ruse as well. Yeah, so just stocked up on some lollies and a nice coffee. A dirty Farmers Union South Australian iced coffee, but it'll do. and yeah, we'll start this night shift. See how far we get. All right, we'll talk to you in a bit. Oh, actually, I'm not keeping up with the time lapses, because I think they're going to be pretty boring. I've got one going through the Flinders Ranges, which should be pretty good, but it's pretty straight and just the same scenery. I'll pick up again probably when I get across the Nullarbor. The Nullarbor I think will be a good one, and if I pull in and check out the cliffs and the whale watching station out there, I'll take some footage of that. But yeah, and the windscreen's just too hard to keep clean, so it just looks like crap on the video. So I'm going to keep going. I've got to keep moving. This 90 k's an hour is killing me. I can't stop if I want to make it back home in time. So onwards, let's go. It is the morning of day, is it day 2? Must be day 2 or day 3, morning of day 3. No, it's definitely day 3. Alright, so the morning of day 3, I pulled up last night about 200 odd k's from Border Village and just had a bit of a sleep because I wanted to hit the Nullarbor Roadhouse when it opened at 7 o'clock. So got up this morning and drove about 140 k's to the Nullarbor Roadhouse. Just about to smash out the Nullarbor and head across to the WA border. So looking forward to getting back into WA and feeling like I'm on the home stretch. So get the obligatory photo of the animal signs, and then probably, I think there's one where the 90 mile straight starts. There's another sign there, so I'll probably get another obligatory photo there, and then we'll get on the move. And I'll probably time lapse. I clean the windscreen, so I'll try and time lapse the Nullarbor and the 90 mile straight for you. All right, let's get cracking. So I've just pulled over quickly to take a photo of the car on the cliffs of the Great Australian Bight with the ocean in the background. The ocean's just out to my left. It's a pretty bleak and rainy day in WA by the looks, but I'm not quite in WA yet. I'm still about 25 or 30 k's from the border, and we'll be there shortly. But I just wanted to mention, while I was at the Roadhouse, the Nullarbor Roadhouse, I had one of the truckies come up to me while I was washing the windscreen and comment on the car and just said, what'd he say? Something along the lines of, "Oh, she looks nice, mate," and haven't seen a surf in a while. Obviously, this one's not a surf; it's a 4runner, but they look exactly the same. So you know, surf 4runner, same thing. I think the surf's just the imported version from memory, but regardless, first compliment for the old girl as she's coming across Australia. So yeah, I'll jump out in the rain and take a photo of her on the cliffs of the Great Australian Bight with the ocean in the background and a big rainy ocean. As you would have seen from the time lapse, there's not really much to see going across the Nullarbor. And as the name implies, or you know, Nullarbor, no trees. It's just one big, massive, vast shrubbery.
A shrubbery! Is there anywhere in this town where we could buy a shrubbery?
Now, some of those shrubs are borderlining on trees. There were a few patches where I thought, you know, aren't those trees? Does that what does it take for a shrub to constitute a tree, you know? But anyway, who am I to judge? One big shrubbery.
Another shrubbery!
The Knights of Neh would absolutely love it out here. So I'm going to take a photo in the rain and we'll keep plodding along. I'll be at the WA border in about 20 minutes and then I have to get another permit. Anyway, I need to keep moving. I'm going to jump out and take this photo. So I've just pulled over for a quick break and I've just come from a little town in WA called Cocklebiddy. Here's a little sticker I picked up there. Cocklebiddy. It's an interesting little town with a interesting name. And just while I'm pulled up here for a minute, I thought I'd share with you a little bit of history about how this little town became known as Cocklebiddy, or where the name came from. So way back in the day, I couldn't even tell you the year, but way back when the first white settlers were making their way all around the country looking for, you know, places to settle down and build little towns and trading posts and things like that. There was a group of old women, I think about 6 of them started out together. They had no families, you know, were towards the end of their life and were just looking for one last adventure, I think is how the story goes. And so 6 of them headed off and I think 5 of them made it to where Cocklebiddy stands today, and they decided it was a good spot to set up a little camp, a little trading post. So they did, and as people were crossing the country, you know, from one side of Australia to the other, across the bottom there and into WA, they would come across this little trading post and they would be lured in by these old women and trapped or held captive. So these old ladies would keep the men and they would have their way with them and force the men to do all kinds of unspeakable things. And it became known. It was they found it weird at first because people would be crossing the country, men with their families would be crossing the country. The families would make it to the other side, to WA, you know, towards Perth, Albany, and the men wouldn't. And the women and children would never speak about what happened to the men. They just disappeared. So obviously more men and lawmen and people of that nature went to investigate, and they found that there was this little camp, this little trading post out in the middle of nowhere, run by these 5 old women who were trapping men and keeping them captive to do these terrible things to. And they were given the name, these women were given the name Cocklebiddies, because they were old biddies who loved the cockle. And so their little trading post, their little camp, became known as Cocklebiddy Camp, and people were told, stay away from it, especially the men, obviously. Stay away from Cocklebiddy Camp. The Cocklebiddies will get you. But every now and again, some curious wayward bloke would make his way to Cocklebiddy Camp just to see if the stories were true, and if the Cocklebiddies were in fact there, and if they were, exactly what they were doing to these blokes. Curiosity got the best of them, and they would find out, and they would disappear. They'd never be seen again. So yeah, the place just got known as Cocklebiddy Camp. These old ladies were referred to as the Cocklebiddy Bandits, and that's how it stayed for a long time. Women and children were safe to pass and trade, but men, if they stopped there, they never came back out. So Again, later on, years down the track, another young curious bloke thought he'd make his way to Cocklebiddy Camp and see if all the stories were true. Anyway, he got there and found that the 5 old Cocklebiddies had long since died. They were old to begin with, so maybe they had 10 years in them and then they died, and he found nothing but the skeletons of these old Cocklebiddies. So they took over the trading post basically, which was all run down, in shambles, and they built it back up and turned it into a little trading post, which then became a little town, and it's turned into the sort of little town that it is today. But they kept the name Cocklebiddy after these Cocklebiddy bandits that used to have their way with any passing men. So a little bit of history for you and a fun fact about the town of Cocklebiddy and how it got its name. All right, enough chin wagging. I've got to get back on the move. Home sweet home. So we made it back in one piece, and actually, except for losing overdrive, the car performed really well. Didn't miss a beat, and that's even more impressive considering the fact that it had to do the whole trip at 3,500 RPM at 90 k's an hour. If I had had overdrive, it would have knocked the RPMs back to 2,500 RPM, sitting on 100. So I think that's just a testament to the old Toyota and how well they were made. This thing's come out of storage after 4 or 5 years in the shed. Had a bit of work done to it, and it's just driven 4,000 kilometres from one side of the country to the other. So what's in store for the 4runner next on the channel is I'm going to do a full service on it. So all fluids, all filters. I'm probably going to do all hoses as well, just because the hoses that are in there are pretty old, a bit of corrosion kicking around, and when I put new coolant in, coolant can tend to be slightly abrasive. So you might find if you've got old hoses and you've been running water, this thing's been running water for quite a while, when you put coolant in, that's when you'll develop leaks and things like that. So yeah, we'll do all new hoses, oil filter, fuel filter, transmission filter, transmission servos, and all fluids, diff fluids, engine oil, transmission oil. So we'll probably do transfer case as well, and she'll be good to go. I need to get an exhaust leak fixed before it can go over the pits and get registered. So we'll do that next episode as well. I'm also waiting on some wheel nuts to arrive through Super Cheap Auto. So the correct wheel nuts for these wheels are a long shank type, and I only have 12. So there's 6 studs, so there's 24 wheel nuts on the car. I only have 12, so they're spread out over the 4 wheels with 12 incorrect wheel nuts. So I've got 12 new wheel nuts coming, so they'll go on. What else? I think that's about it. So yeah, she performed really well. I'm really happy with it. Little niggling issues like the tailgate window not working, that seems to be coming good. It's I've only had one time where it wasn't responding to the key or the switch, and I went to the tailgate, gave it a nudge, turned the key, and away she went. So I'm thinking that whatever was wrong with it, it's sort of coming good. Like, as the car's being driven and getting shaken and all the dirt's coming loose and things like that, I think the car's actually starting to iron out its own little gremlins. I will, however, go into that back tailgate, give everything a clean and a lubricate. That's something else we can do in the next episode. Probably just have a look at the micro switches. There's a micro switch that tells the car basically that the tailgate's shut, which then allows the window to be moved up and down, and I think that switch is what's playing up, which is why when you give the tailgate a nudge or a bit of a tap, it comes good. So we'll just clean up all the contacts, all the switches, all things like that, and that should sort that out, hopefully. If you stuck around this long, thanks very much. Hit that like button for me. It really helps push the video out to more viewers. And if you want to see more and you want to see where the build on this 4runner goes, hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, and we'll see you in the next episode.